Welcome to lesson 2 of episode 3. In this lesson, we'll be discussing topsoil excavation, disposal of excavated material, retaining of excavated material. The three work items listed earlier represent 4, 5, and 6 on our taking off list. So I'll be linking one of my previous videos where I explain all the work items on substructural work with detailed explanation. So you can do both, check the video and have the understanding of the taking off list for substructural work items. So with all being said, I'll get started after this timeout. Welcome back. In this video, we'll be taking off for topsoil excavation, and one thing I want you to have at the back of your mind, we'll be adding spread to this plan. So what is spread? I'll be linking one of my videos where I explain the manual process of taking off, but in order to have a better understanding of what I'm about to do after this, so let's quickly explain spread. So if you check, this is our plan and this is the section of the plan. So I need to change the color so in order to explain better. Okay, now if you check our plan, from this point to this point, we have 7,500 mm. So if you check our section from this point up to this point has been taken care of by our plan. So from this point, this 225 here is what we have here. That's the thickness of our wall. And this 225, the remaining 225 to this side, we have it into our dimension for the total area where we are building on. So inside of this, after this 225, we have another 225 here. So we have 225 in two places. So we needed to add the extra for this side. So that's why we normally add 2 of 225 or 2 of the thickness of our wall. It might be 150, it might be 230, it might be anything. So we'll be adding 2 of the thickness of our wall. So why are we adding 2? So 1 for the right and 1 for the left. I hope that is clear. And one thing I want you to know moving forward, this thickness of our wall, in order to get the total length or the total width of our footing, is always multiplying the thickness of our wall by 3 in order to have equal spread for the wall. So in order to have a balance in between the wall and the foundation, so our footing is always 3 times the thickness of our wall. So now I think we've explained this now. So we have 2 of 225 to our length and 2 of 225 to our width. So and if we have our thickness for our wall is 150, approximately this is going to be 450 as the thickness. And if we have 230 as our thickness here, so this is going to be 690 mm. So whatever we have as our thickness of the wall is going to be our spread moving forward. So now that we have 225 as the thickness of our wall, so we'll be adding spread of 225 around the perimeter of the building since we are using this software. So now I'm going to be creating the spread. So I'll come here, spread, activate. What's the width of the spread? Since the width of our wall is 225, so I'll be using 0.225 as the thickness of our spread. Why am I putting in decimal? Because I've changed it to meter. So I might change it to mm. So when I have mm, I'll just come here and change it to 225. So it's the same thing. So once I press OK, so I'll start from here. I'll move around the perimeter of the plan in order to take care of the spread around the building. So I'll come here. So I'll double click and just right click anywhere and press stop. So now I have added the spread around the perimeter of the building. The next step is to take off for topsoil excavation. So I'll come here, I'll activate. It is measured in square meter. I don't need to change anything again. Just press OK. So I'll start point number 2, point 3, 4, 5. I'll come to point 6 and double click. So just press right click anywhere and press stop. Now if you check here, I have the total quantity of my topsoil excavation. That's 204.6. So when you approximate, you have 205 square meter as the quantity of our taking off. And if you know we've done something here, so here we need to deduct if you are doing the manual process, but since we are using the software, we've eliminated the step of deducting here, so that saves a considerable amount of time. So moving forward, let's do for disposal. So I joined them together here because you might either do disposal or retaining. So it's the same process, is measured in cubic meter. So I'm going to activate it. So it's going to tell me the depth. So what depth are we going into? We are going 0.15. That's 150 mm thick into the soil. So I'll be doing 0.15. 0.5. This is measured in meter. So you can either use the metric or imperial method of calibration to calibrate your drawing. Is left you want to have the understanding between the two, so you can use anyone. So now I'm using meter. If you remember when I was doing spread, I use that's millimeter, but now I'm using meter. So I'll press OK. So I'll come here, the second point, this is the third, the fourth, this is the fifth, and this is the sixth. So I'll double click at this point, look for somewhere here and stop. Now we are done with our taking off process. So if you check, I have my topsoil quantity, we have 25 square meter, and disposal or retaining quantity, we have 31 cubic meter. The moment I finished taking off for topsoil excavation, the system has automatically calculated the quantity of my disposal or retaining, but it's not showing. If you check this sign here, it shows a minus, but once I click that plus sign, it's going to show me disposal or retaining. What I've done is that anytime I'm doing topsoil excavation, the system is automatically going to calculate for me the total quantity of my topsoil, disposal or retaining. So I'm going to be showing now. Once I click on the quantity of my topsoil here, if you check towards this side, disposal or retaining of excavated material, I have my quantity here. So I've been able to do that in order to save considerable amount of time. We also do this in manual process. After doing topsoil excavation, we put and disposal multiply by 0.15. So I've done the same thing here. So that's why I'm saying you have to understand the manual process before you use the software. So that will save you more time doing productive things than or repeating the same process over and over again. Until when next, I will see you in another tutorial. You're welcome.